Hi, this is Dom Robinson and welcome to my Deep Wreck Diver channel. The question I get asked most frequently in the comments on my videos is for me to talk about the equipment that I use, and that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to start off with this, which is my AP Inspiration Rebreather, but I'm going to cover all the other gear that I use as well. So I know divers love talking about gear, so I think you're going to really enjoy it. Before I go on to do that though, just a request from me. If you wouldn't mind, please, can you hit that like button? If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. And if you have subscribed, please turn on the notifications. Those things help me immeasurably. The other thing that would be great, if you feel like it, is to leave a comment. It can be about anything. Whether you think this video is good, whether you think it's bad, doesn't matter. I'd love to get your feedback. So thank you. Right, moving on then. So, my CCR, my baby. This is the thing that's given me so many great adventures. It's kept me alive as well in all sorts of situations. So I guess one of the questions I get asked quite a bit is about different types of rebreathers and, you know, why did I choose an Inspiration? Well, I guess it's a really interesting question. So the classic advice for choosing a rebreather is to use the same rebreather as the people around you. Now, everybody, not quite everybody, but certainly when I started, the majority of people around me were diving an Inspiration. And that was fantastic because it meant that I had this whole pool of support. All these people who knew the little nuances could help me out if something went wrong and obviously provide advice and expertise. The great thing about the Inspiration is it has been going forever. It's pretty much the first mass market ECCR, and they've been upgraded continuously ever since. So they're always adding new bits of capability. Most notably, 5 or 6 years ago, the handset changed from being a grayscale one to being a colour one, and that was a fantastic improvement. Loads of other things, and it's in continuous development, not least because there are so many of them out there. The other thing to highlight, of course, is that I have invested a huge amount of my personal time in one of these. So I've got 15 years of experience on an Inspiration, and if I was to change to something else, I would obviously not quite have to start from scratch, but certainly it would be a long time before I got back up to that level. So I've that massive investment in my particular model. A question you might ask is, would I buy an Inspiration if I was starting out again? And that is a really interesting question. It's one I've asked myself several times, and I'm not 100% certain I know the answer. There are certainly more advanced rebreathers on the market. There's probably ones that have features that have been that are on the Inspiration that have been improved, things that are done differently that I would quite like. But on the other hand, Inspiration is absolutely tried and tested. It's whatever dives you want to do on your Inspiration have almost certainly been done, and I guess that level of proven ability is something that you need to consider. What else? I guess it comes down to brass tacks. The reality is that the Inspiration, you can get a lot of them second hand. They are relatively reasonably priced, so I'm not going to use the term bargain basement, but certainly if you want to get started in rebreather diving, the AP is very, very competitively priced. So there's a few reasons. I haven't given you an answer. I haven't said you should buy this rebreather or you should buy that rebreather. I've just given you a few things to consider. And I think probably the most important one is the one that I started with. So it's the one about choose a rebreather that there are loads of people around you diving because you have access to that expertise, that knowledge, that support. So moving on to my particular one, it is pretty much a standard AP Inspiration, or XPD as they term them now. The big change I've made to it is probably this thing here, which is the box. Inspiration comes in a kind of standard plastic box. I've replaced it with this G-Box frame, which is an aftermarket product. Quite a lot of Inspiration divers use this one, or there are other ones available as well. And that's not to say the plastic box isn't bad. It is bad, rather. Quite a few of the guys I dive with them dive would still use them, but for me it was a bit floaty, and I think the G-Box offers more ability to hang stuff on the side, and you can see that's absolutely what I've done here. So if you're new to rebreathers, it's probably worth just highlighting what is inside this this box, because this is, I guess, the meat of it. So opening this up here, what have you got inside? Well, inside here, this canister here contains a scrubber. That's how the carbon dioxide that you breathe out is removed. You can probably see down the left-hand side here, I was wrong, the right-hand side rather, you can see this tube coming down into the bottom. So gas comes in the top here, comes up, comes through the scrubber. So this is an axial scrubber. Through the top is the head, which is where the O2 sensors are, where the solenoid is to inject oxygen, and it's also where the brains of the beast is in there as well. So goes through that lot and then comes out of this hose here and goes into the mouthpiece. And there's a set of valves in there that make sure that the gas only goes one way round. So what else do we have on here? Well, I'm going to start off on this side here. And on this side here, you can see this large cylinder here is a 3-litre cylinder of oxygen. 3-litre cylinder is good. More gas, by and large, is pretty good. That will do me for at least 2 deep dives, and it would do me for more shallow dives. What else have I got? On the right-hand side here, I've got a spare O2 cylinder. It's a small one, and that's there if, for whatever reason, I can't access the oxygen in my other cylinder. Moving to the other side then, I've got 2 cylinders on this side as well. The inner one here is my diluent, and that is the trimix mixture that provides the loop volume when you go deep. Obviously, as you go deep, it gets crushed down. You put in diluent, that brings the loop volume back up as you go down. And that obviously provides the helium into the mixture that avoids narcosis and provides a reasonable gas density to help with the work of breathing. Selection of the right diluent is a really important part of rebreather planning. This other thing here, this large 3-litre white cylinder, this is full of good old-fashioned air. Now you might say, what does a rebreather diver need air for? Well, actually quite a few things. So the first thing is I run all my buoyancy off the air. I run my dry suit off it. I run my wing off it. And that means obviously I'm not spending expensive gas to fill up my dry suit, and helium you don't want to be putting in anyway. And also it means I've got gas to put in my wing, and I've got a lot of it there if I need it. So, and the great thing about air is that you can breathe it at any depth pretty much. So that also goes into my auto air, which I will talk about in a bit. Now, a 3-litre cylinder you might say is a bit excessive. Lots of people have smaller cylinders that do that. For me, if I didn't carry a 3-litre cylinder, I would have to carry more weight. So I may as well carry more gas. Why wouldn't I? So that's the back of the rebreather. Probably the one other thing you've identified here is this green hose. This green hose is the one that comes off my air cylinder, and it's the one that I attach into my dry suit. Moving round to the front of my rebreather, and there's quite a lot going on here, as you can probably see. Let's start off up the top here with this thing here. This is the handset, not currently turned on, but that would be on my left wrist, and that doesn't have a brain in it. All that has in there is a controller, and that allows you, it gives you information about what the 3 cells are displaying in terms of the PO2s. It gives you information about decompression. It gives you information about your current depth, and you can also change various things associated with the rebreather on that. So really important. What else have we got? Well, we've got the 2 hoses here. This one on the left hand side is the one that gas comes back from the scrubber and it comes in and is going to go into the breathing loop. This one here is the one that the gas goes to the scrubber from, and you've seen those on the other side. What else have we got? Well, we've got the big thing here, which is a mouthpiece, and this is a standard mouthpiece. It's not a BOV at all, so if I need to bail out, I'm going to have to get one of my open circuit regulators. What else have I got attached to it? I've got this thing here, which is the mouthpiece retaining strap or gag strap. if you want to use common terminology. That just makes sure that the mouthpiece stays close to my mouth, and if I was to lose consciousness, hopefully it would keep the mouthpiece in my mouth. People have different opinions on those. Some people get really anti them. I like mine. I'm a fan. But hey, this is big boy diving. You make your own decisions. You take your own risks. What else have I got on here? Well, you can probably see here, this small thing is the HUD, and there are 4 lights on there, 2 red and 2 green, and they provide a visual indication to me whether everything is okay or not. If I've got 2 greens, I know the world is well. If the greens start flashing, something's changing. If I start getting red lights or red flashing lights, then clearly something is wrong. And those are right in my eye line, so they're really good as an attention getter, which will normally then take me to the handset, and the handset on there will tell me if something is wrong. The other thing to probably point out is just in the back of the box here is an audio alarm as well. So if there's a problem, the audio alarm will go off, and people who dive with inspiration divers tend to get sick of audio alarms because they are really effective. You can hear them from a long way away. You can always tell if somebody else in the group is having a problem. Some people say that's a bad thing. I have to say I am a big fan. Right, so moving on to a few other bits and pieces. So I get this lot out of the way. What else have I got on here? Well, probably the thing that's difficult to see around here is I've got a battery for my torch. It's in there, and there's a lovely little pocket on the inspiration where my Aux Torch D630 fits there. The cable goes over the top and comes round here. You can see there my torch. Great bit of kit. I love it to bits. And what else have I got? Well, you can probably see here, this is the much maligned Auto Air, which is an AP bespoke thing. It works as a regulator, so you can inflate your BCD on it. You can also breathe off it as well. So that is currently plumbed into the cylinder of air on my back. So if I need to, I can breathe down that 3 litre cylinder of air. Should the 3 litre cylinder of air run out, then I have a spare hose here, which I hope you can see. This one here is attached into my diluent cylinder. So if I needed to, I ran out of gas or something like that, I could switch over onto that other hose and fill up my BCD with a cylinder. What else have I got? These are the manual add valves here, and you can probably see that there are 2. So the top one here is attached into my diluent cylinder. The bottom one here is available for connecting to something else, and I can either connect those 2 and one of my offboard cylinders. I've got hoses on there that I'll show you in a minute, or if I need to, I can also attach on the other side here. This is the oxygen MAV. You can see there's a spare hose that goes to my spare O2 cylinder. The oxygen MAV is this one here, and this is both these MAVs are, MAV, for those of you who don't know, manual add valve. These are both the non-standard AP MAVs, and this one here has got this thing on here, which is a shut-off. It allows me to isolate the solenoid if I need to. I have had a problem in the past with a solenoid sticking open, so I could solve that by just pulling that out and shutting the solenoid off. And I could then run the unit manually using the manual add. If I need to, I can also connect in my spare O2 cylinder, as I've already mentioned, with that, and it will go on there, and I could drive my, I could use my spare O2 cylinder as well. So a couple of different things there. What else have I got? Well, I've got a oxygen pressure gauge at the front, and I've also got a diluent pressure gauge at the front as well. Now, some rebreathers don't have pressure gauges. They're at the front. Some people think they get in the way, all those kind of things. I'm a bit old school like that. I like to know how much gas I've got, and it's really important, particularly before you get in the water. I do 4 things. I check that my oxygen is turned on and I've got enough contents. I do exactly the same check with my diluent. I have a look at my handset. I check that my handset is turned on and that I've done the pre-breathe, so the scrubber's warmed up. And the other thing I always do is I check that my dry suit feed is fitted and working. And I reckon if I've done those 4 checks and I get in the water, I am going to be okay. I'm not going to die immediately. So, sorry, slight digression there, but those are the things that I've got. What else have I got on the front of my rebreather? Well, this thing here, which is a dive knife, and a bit old school once again, dive knives. So obviously lots of people use cutters and everything. I love this thing. It's a little remora dive knife, really sharp. It's located there on this hose at the front. I know where that is. I can get it really quickly, and I don't need to worry about it. Because I'm a bit paranoid about cutters, I also have another cutter located here. I have another cutter located here on the waistband. You can see it there, and that is a trilobite. You know, you pull it out, and it's got a bit of a net cutter in there as well. So they're a good bit of kit as well. What else have I got on my belt? I've got this thing here, which is a PLB. It's actually an AIS one. It's the old one done by Nautilus. So it's actually got a radio built into that as well. So I can get onto channel 16, I can get onto channel 10, whatever else it is. Obviously the range isn't great because I'm going to be at sea level, but at least I can speak to somebody. If there's an aircraft in, then obviously the comms will be pretty good. And as I say, it's got that AIS beacon on it as well. So I do love those. I actually think they're much better than the newer ones. So that is my rebreather. And I hope you've all found that very interesting. Now, unfortunately, I had hoped to do all the rest of my gear, but I've simply ran out of time to get it all edited and get it published. So I'm really sorry about this, but you're going to have to wait for another video to cover all the rest of my gear. So my dry suit, my undersuit, my stages, all the bits and pieces I carry down with me, they are coming, but not in this video. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I look forward to putting the rest of it together and getting it out there.